Shalom and welcome to Congregation Beth Yeshurun. It's a pleasure to have you with us. We had planned our Shabbat outdoor service this evening, but for those of you in Houston, you know it's just too cold and rainy outside. So we've postponed our Shabbat outdoor service 2 weeks from tonight, February 19th. But instead tonight, we still come to you from the Barg sanctuary for our regular and beautiful Shabbat renewal service. And it's a pleasure to have my colleagues, Kenner Finkelstein and Rabbi Morgan, as we lead you in our service along with our Shabbat Renewal Band as we begin this Shabbat on this beautiful evening. Let us begin now with an opening nigun. Let us now rise as we recite the blessing for the candles for Shabbat.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Asher kideshanu b'mitzvotav V'tzivanu lehadlik ner V'tzivanu lehadlik ner V'tzivanu lehadlik ner Shel
be seated now as we sing our song of Shabbat, our song of peace, our song of angels. Shalom Alechem, Malchei Hasharet, page 5.
Shalom Alechem, Malchei Hasharet, Malchei Elyon, Melechem, Malchei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem leShalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Melechem, Malachei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Barchuni leShalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Melechem, Malachei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Zeitchem leShalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Melechem, Malachei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
Let us go now and sing to Adonai. Let us trumpet praise to our protector. Lechuna Radonai Ladonai, top of page 11.
Lechuna Radonai, Lechuna Radonai, Lechuna Radonai Ladonai, לכו נרננה, לכו נרננה, לכו נרננה לאדוני. נריע, נריע לצור אישנו, לקדמה פניו בתודה. נריע, נריע לצור אישנו, בזמירות נריע לו. לכו נרננה, לכו נרננה, לכו נרננה לאדוני. לכו נרננה, לכו נרננה, לכו נרננה לאדוני.
Page 14, Yismechu Hashemayim v'tagel haaretz.
ישמחו השמיים, ישמחו השמיים, ישמחו השמיים ותגל הארץ. ישמחו השמיים, השמיים, ישמחו השמיים, השמיים, ישמחו השמיים ותגל הארץ. ירמיים, 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 ישמחו השמיים, ישמחו השמיים, השמיים, ישמחו השמיים ותגל הארץ. ירמיים, 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 ירמיים,
And now we welcome the Sabbath Queen of the words L'cha Dodi Likrat Kala, page 23.
L'cha Dodi Likrat Kala, Pnei Shabbat Nekabala. L'cha Dodi Likrat Kala, Pnei Shabbat Nekabala. שמור וזכור בדיבור אחד, השמיענו אל המיוחד. אדוני אחד ושמו אחד, לשם ולתפארת ולתהילה, ולתהילה. לך דודי נקרא כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי נקרא כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לקראת שבת לכו ונלכה, כי היא מקור הברכה. ראש מקדם נסוכה, סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת we rise and face the door. בואי בשלום עטרת בעלה, גם בשמחה ובצהלה. תוך אמוני עם סגולה, בואי כלה, בואי, בואי כלה. לך אדוני נקרא כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך אדוני נקרא כלה, פני שבת נקבלה.
And you may be seated. It is good to thank you, Adonai, and to sing your name most high, to proclaim your love at daybreak and your faithfulness each night. Tov lehadot l'Adonai, the top of page 27.
טוב, טוב, טוב להודות, טוב להודות לאדוני, ולזמר, ולזמר, ולזמר לשבחך עליון. טוב, טוב, טוב להודות, טוב להודות לאדוני, ולזמר, אגיד בבוקר חסדך, ואמונתך בלילות, עלי עשור ועלי נבל, עלי היגיון בכינור. טוב, טוב, טוב להודות, טוב להודות לאדוני, ולזמר, ולזמר, ולזמר לשבחך עליון. טוב, טוב, טוב להודות, טוב להודות לאדוני, ולזמר, ולזמר, ולזמר לשבחך עליון, ולזמר לשבחך עליון. טוב, טוב להודות, טוב להודות לאדוני.
Now we want to offer those who are mourning and those observing a yard site to recite the Mourner's Kaddish. For those who are doing so, please rise as we recite the Mourner's Kaddish on page 30. Yit Gadal v'yit Kadash Shemei Rabbah v'yalma divrach hirutev v'yamlich malchutei v'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael ba'gala uv'izman kariv v'yemru Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabbah mevarach li'alam li'almei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalal Shemei dekudsha b'reichu. Le'ela min kol berchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata da'amiron v'yalma v'yemru Amen. Yehei Shlama Rabba min Shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yemru Amen. Osei shalom b'imramav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yemru Amen. We now ask everyone to rise for Barg, page 39.
Baruch hu et Adonai hamvorach. Baruch Adonai hamvorach leolam va'ed.
You may be seated. We continue on page 40, Ahavat Olam.
אהבת עולם בית ישראל, בית ישראל עמך אהבת תורה ומצוות, חוקים ומשפטים, חוקים ומשפטים אותנו לימדת. על כן אדוני אלוהינו שוכבנו ושוכבנו ובקומנו, נשיח, נשיח, נשיח בחוקך. אהבת עולם בית ישראל, בית ישראל עמך אהבת תורה ומצוות, חוקים ומשפטים, חוקים ומשפטים אותנו לימדת. ונשמח בדברי תורתך ובמצוותיך לעולם ועד, כי הם חיינו ואורך ימינו, ובהם נגי יומם ולילה. ויעבדך ויעבדך, אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים. ברוך אתה אדוני אוהב עמו ישראל. שמע ישראל אדוני אלוהינו אדוני אחד. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם, בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך.
We continue silently in Hebrew or English to the bottom of page 42.
Adonai Elohechem Emet.
We now sing the song that we sang last week, actually, in the Torah portion, the song that our ancestors sang when they crossed the Red Sea and they beheld God's might. They said, Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, page 44.
כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נעתר בקודש נורא נורא, נורא תהילות עושה פלא. מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נעתר בקודש נורא נורא, נורא תהילות עושה פלא. מלכותך ובניך חוקי הים לפני משה, זילי, זילי, ענו ואמרו, מלכותך ראו בניך חוקי הים לפני משה, זילי, זילי, ענו ואמרו. באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נעתר בקודש נורא נורא, נורא תהילות עושה פלא. מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נעתר בקודש נורא נורא, נורא תהילות עושה פלא. Adonai imlok leolam va'ed. Adonai imlok leolam va'ed. Mi kamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha ne'edar b'kodesh nora nora, nora tehilot
Help us, Adonai, to lie down in peace tonight and awaken us tomorrow to life renewed. Hashkivenu, page 45.
Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom, Hamidenu Malkeinu lechayim. We turn to page 46 and join in Shamru. The Shamru Israel et HaShabbat Azod et HaShabbat Vedorotam Berim Olam The Shamru Israel et HaShabbat Azod et HaShabbat Vedorotam Berim Olam Beni Oti leolam, v'shameru Israel et HaShabbat, לעשות את השבת לדורותם לעולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם בריאים עולם וביום השביעי שבת וינפש Shabbat vayinafash, Shabbat vayinafash, V'shameru Israel et HaShabbat, לעשות את השבת לדורותם בריאים עולם. יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה וילמד יברם פיוטי וימליך מלכותי בחייכם ובימיכם ובחיי לכל בית ישראל בעגלה בזמן קריב ואמרו אמן יהי שמי רבה מברך לעולם עולמי הוויה יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתעלה 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 שמי לעילם מן כל ברכתה ושירתה ושבחתה ונחמתה באמירן ועלמה ואמרו אמן ואמרו אמן ואמרו אמן Amen.
And now we continue with our silent prayer, page 47 through page 52.
Turn to page 51. Join in Shalom Rav. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Le'olam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Le'olam. Ki atahu melech adon lechol hashalom. Ki atahu melech adon lechol hashalom. Shalom rav al Yisrael amcha tasim le'olam. Shalom rav al Yisrael amcha tasim le'olam. V'tov את עמך ישראל בכל עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. שלום רב על ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. שלום רב על ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. ברוך אתה אדוני המברך את עמו ישראל בשלום. And let's all put our arms around each other and sway to Oseh Shalom. Oseh Shalom, Oseh Shalom bimromav, Hu ya'aseh Shalom aleinu, Shalom aleinu, aleinu ve'akol Yisrael ve'imru Amen. Aleinu ve'akol Yisrael ve'imru Amen. Hu ya'aseh Shalom aleinu, Shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Hu ya'aseh Shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Oseh Shalom bimromav, Hu ya'aseh Shalom aleinu, Shalom aleinu, aleinu ve'akol Yisrael ve'imru Amen. Aleinu ve'akol Yisrael ve'imru Amen. Amen. Amen.
Now we turn our attention to those who are ill, those who are sick, those who need an extra prayer, those who need a Misha Barak prayer, as the cantor leads us in our prayer of healing.
Misha Barak avotenu, kor habracha leimotenu. May the word of strength who bless the ones before us help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing for us and all of those we love. Misha Beirach imotenu Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit. Let us say, Amen.
May God bring all our loved ones a refuah shlema, a complete healing of the mind, body, soul, and spirit soon. And let us say, Amen. You may be seated now as we continue with the Kaddish Shalem, page 54.
יגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה, ואלמד יברך חילותי וימליך מלכותי בחייכון ובמכון ובחיי לכל בית ישראל, בגלה בזמן קריב, ואמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מברך, לעלם ולעלמי עלמיה, יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל, שמי נקודשה בריחו. לעילם כל חדה ושירתה, ושבחתה ונחמתה, דאמירן בעלמא, ואמרו אמן. תתקבל צלותון ובאותון לכל ישראל, קודם אבוני בשמיה, ואמרו אמן. יהי שלמה רבה מן שמיה, וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו אמן.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Today, of course, there's a lot of debate. No matter where we stand politically, there's a lot of debate about our relationship with China. Are we dealing with an important business partner or an existential enemy? They have a capitalist economy today, and our countries do a lot of trade with each other. Billions and billions of dollars in goods are traded between our countries every single year. But there are plenty of not so good things that China does. And before we discuss, I want to make it clear that I'm not talking about the Chinese people. I don't think anyone here has anything against the people of China. But I am talking about the Chinese Communist Party that has ruled China with an iron fist since 1949. For example, we all know about the Chinese government's failed attempts to keep the COVID-19 virus from spreading to other countries. A year ago at this time, the government of China tried to cover up what was happening in Wuhan. And by lying about the spread of the virus, over 2 million people across the globe have died because of the Chinese government's lies. And all of our lives have been changed forever. Like all oppressive governments in world history, communist parties are no different. And now we have all witnessed the lies and deceit that are part and parcel of the Chinese Communist Party. So it should come of no surprise that the Chinese Communist Party is doing something terrible to its own people. Something I don't think we talk enough about. A modern-day genocide that is happening right now in China. China's atrocious and worsening treatment of the country's Uyghur Muslim minority. A minority that has become enslaved in massive re-education and forced labor camps, modern-day concentration camps. Tonight, as I give this sermon, China is carrying out acts of genocide against the Uyghurs, a Muslim ethnic minority from China's Xinjiang province. And Xinjiang is subject to China's hand-dominant policies, which have resulted in the shuttering and destruction of mosques and cultural centers, and a ban on teaching the Uyghur language. Even worse, over 1 million innocent Uyghurs, men, women, and children, are being held in detention centers. As many of their relatives abroad demand China provide proof of life of their relatives, they can't get it. And dozens of Uyghur graveyards and religious sites have been destroyed. There's even mass evidence of forced sterilization. In our modern world, 2021, men and women in China are beaten if they refuse to renounce their faith. Innocent women are forced to abort their unborn children and are then sterilized to prevent them from becoming pregnant again. For the Uyghurs of China, forced imprisonment, the separation of children from their parents, and a culture of intimidation and fear have become the norm. And sadly, the weight of evidence of this persecution of the Uyghur Muslim minority in China is overwhelming. Satellite images, leaked documents, and survivor testimonies all paint a devastating picture affecting over 1 million people, which for the most part, the world continues to ignore. Recently, we Jews read about the first recorded attempt in history of forced labor and mass persecution. It's in our Torah, the very beginning of the book of Shemot, the second book of our Torah. There we read, a new Pharaoh arose over Egypt who did not know about Joseph. And this Pharaoh, this new Melech Hadash, this new Pharaoh says to his people, behold, the people of the children of Israel are more numerous and stronger than we are. Get ready, let us deal shrewdly with them, lest they increase and a war befall us, and these Hebrews join our enemies and wage war against us and depart from the land. So then the Torah tells us that the Egyptians appointed over our people, our ancestors, just because we were different, tax collectors to afflict them with their burdens, and they made us slaves to build the store cities for Pharaoh. Within just a few verses of our Torah, we read how our people had gone from being a welcome minority to a persecuted people, with no protest from the Egyptian people. The great Ramban explains the logic. Had Pharaoh at the beginning suggested killing Jews, the Egyptian people may not have allowed it to happen. But instead, Pharaoh knew better. Pharaoh's plan was to implement genocide incrementally. Sound familiar? In learning this passage in light of the Holocaust and the current plight of the Uyghurs is chilling. And what the Chinese Communist government is doing now is no different than other evil men like Pol Pot, Stalin, Hitler, and Pharaoh did long ago. Why are we not doing more, saying more, doing anything to help as Americans, and especially as Jews? Is it because we are so removed from the reality of what is happening in China that we lose our ability to relate? I've never met a Uyghur, and I doubt anyone listening to me, any of you, have either. Is that the reason we are less likely to act? Jewish educator Michael Ransbury brings up something fascinating about Pharaoh's plan to enslave our people. Before we learn of the plan that I just outlined a minute ago, the Torah first lists all the names of Jacob's descendants who went down to Egypt. That's why the second book of the Torah is called Shemot, which means names, because it begins with the names of Jacob's descendants who moved to Egypt to escape the famine in the land of Canaan. Why do we need a listing of the dozens of people who went to Egypt? We already knew who they were. It's because by listing the names of the children of Israel who went to Egypt, we understand that behind the othering of a nation in the ensuing persecution are actual people with names, faces, lives, individual personalities. 6 million. We all know that is a large number, but becomes an even larger number when we learn the stories behind the 6 million men, women, and children who were murdered. 6 million actual people with names, faces, individual personalities. Our history, both ancient and modern, is a stark reminder that the Chinese government is not persecuting numbers. They are systematically tormenting and murdering thousands of individual, actual people. Perhaps we should feel obligated to read the testimonies of those lucky enough to escape. You can easily find them online. And perhaps we should teach, raise awareness, boycott, and pressure our government and numerous businesses here in America to disinvest from the Chinese government and Chinese companies that exploit the Uyghurs. We can rise to the occasion. I invite you to go to this website that you can now see on your screen, SaveUyghur.org. And there you can find out about basic things that you can do, little things, big things, whether it's signing a petition, finding out which companies to boycott, where to write letters. Can we speak out against American companies who use Uyghur forced labor to make items that we use every day, like Nike shoes, Calvin Klein shirts, and Carter baby clothes? Just last month, I was glad to see that the U.S. government announced that it will halt imports of cotton and tomatoes from the Uyghur region of China in its most sweeping action yet to pressure the Communist Party over its campaign against the Uyghur minority. U.S. officials said that Customs and Border Protection will now use its authority to block products suspected of being produced with forced labor to keep out cotton, tomatoes, and unrelated projects from the region. It's a great start. So from now on, my friends, let's leave out the meaningless arguments about which economy is greater or what the coronavirus should actually be called. When it comes to China, let's talk about saving innocent lives. Shabbat Shalom. Now let us return to our service as we rise for the Aleinu, page 56.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסד הארץ, ומשב יקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינה פתוזה, ושכינה פתוזה, בגובי מרומים. הוא אלוהינו אין עוד, אמת מלכנו אפס זולתו, ככתוב בתורתו, וידעת היום, וידעת היום, והשיבות אל לבביך, כי אדוני הוא האלוהים בשמיים ממעל, ועל הארץ מתחת אלון. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו
We now invite all those in mourning and all those observing a yurtzeit to remain standing for the words of the mourner's Kaddish. And this week at Beth Yeshurun, we offer condolences to the families of Louis Garber and Rabbi Dr. Gerald Teller. The mourner's Kaddish, page 58. Yikara v'yikara shemei Rabbah, v'yalma divrach yiruteh v'yamlik malchuteh, v'chayekon v'yomekon v'chayeh dekol Beit Yisrael, v'agala v'zman kariv v'yemru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevorach leolam omei amaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitba'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei dekudusha b'richu. Le'ela min kol berchata v'shirata, tishbechata v'nechamata, damiram v'amal v'yemru, amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'yakol Yisrael v'yemru, amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu v'yakol Yisrael v'yemru, amen. So we have 3 anniversaries to celebrate this evening. 3 couples that are watching us this evening from their homes. First, celebrating their 17th wedding anniversary, Sydney and Mark Gold. This past year, you celebrated Mark's 61st birthday with 4 generations of family, as well as a trip to Mexico before the pandemic. Wonderful way to celebrate your life together. And may God continue to bless you with more years of blessings and peace. Happy 17th wedding anniversary. Celebrating their 57th wedding anniversary, Lewis and Joan Katz. You're happy to have your good health and the love and good health of your family as well. And of course, Lewis, just a few months ago, we celebrated your 2nd bar mitzvah. May you and your family continue to enjoy only good health and blessings. Happy 57th wedding anniversary. And celebrating their 61st wedding anniversary, Joan and Max Lupaloff. Joan and Max, you have a lot to celebrate. Of course, the one major event this past year was bittersweet for you. Back in July, from here in Houston, you watched me, who I was also in Houston, as I did my first ever Zoom wedding on my iPad of your granddaughter Leslie to her now husband Adam. They were in Colorado, we were here in Houston, and they were under the chuppah, under the stars in Beaver Creek, Colorado. And the picture that we now see online is the 2 of you dressed up that evening. Even though you couldn't be there, you watched with so much happiness as you're watching your granddaughter get married, and you dressed up for the celebration. And you looked beautiful then, as I know you continue to do, is watching your beautiful family expand. And may God give you the blessing this year to be together with all your family and to celebrate all the good things that life will bring the 2 of you. Happy 61st wedding anniversary. Mazel tov. A couple announcements I wanted to share with you. Of course, I mentioned at the beginning of our service, we were scheduled to be outside tonight, but the weather was a little too cold and rainy to be outside, but we are having our next Shabbat outdoor service. We rescheduled it from tonight to 2 weeks from tonight. So I hope all of you will join us. That's February 19th. A couple other announcements I want to share with you. Our day school is open for enrollment. If you're interested in enrolling in our day school, having your children get involved in our day school, go to our website or go to our byds.org website to find out about all the incredible things that are happening in our day school. February is Jewish Disability Awareness, Acceptance, and Inclusion Month. And we're playing a big part of that here at Beth Yeshurun. This upcoming Thursday, I'll be having lunch with Rabbi Kalman Samuels, all the way from Israel, who is a disability and inclusion advocate in Israel. He's well known. I'm reading one of his books right now, and I think you'll want to join me this Thursday for a very interesting conversation at noon, this upcoming Thursday. Next Friday, a week from tonight, I'm very honored to welcome Dr. Rex Marco here to Barg Sanctuary, here at Beth Yeshurun. Every month, as you know, since the pandemic, we've been doing our Shabbat Table Talk, where we welcome an esteemed guest in our community. And Dr. Rex Marco is a renowned spinal surgeon that suffered a horrible biking accident that left him paralyzed. And he'll join me for a conversation about how he is still practicing medicine and his incredible, inspiring perspective on life. I know you'll want to be here, whether in person or watching online. And at the end of this month, Rabbi Ford will teach on B'Tselem Elohim, in the image of God, and the importance of that fundamental Jewish idea as we commemorate Jewish Disability Awareness, Acceptance, and Inclusion Month. This Wednesday, for 100 Jewish Men, I'll be welcoming Dr. Josh Furman. Yom Limud, our community day of study, is a week from this Sunday, February 14th. JFS is offering a Pekuach Nefesh mental health training made specifically for our Jewish community. And then Purim, of course, is coming up at the end of the month. And join us for Megillah readings on Thursday evening, February 25th, Purim morning in the chapel, and then in the afternoon, Friday afternoon, February 25th, based on the success of our outdoor drive-in Hanukkah program. We'll be doing the same for Purim on Friday afternoon, February 26th, for our Go Texan Purim Drive. And of course, you'll want to save the date for March 7th. Will be our spring virtual concert entitled Tikva, Our Hope for the Future, as Kenner Finkelstein and many special guests put on a concert that you want to make sure you're a part of. There'll also be a very special photo montage, and we are welcoming all of you to submit your family picture on our website or by emailing it to Jennifer Sutton. We'd love to show your family and to demonstrate the strength of Beth Yeshurun, Lador Vador, from generation to generation, in the past, today, and in the future. And that, of course, is Sunday, March 7th. And again, a reminder to all of you, we'd love to see you here at Beth Yeshurun. We're in the Barg Sanctuary. We feel very safe here. We can space out. We follow all the rules of social distancing. So we'd love to see you here, whether it's on a Friday night or a Saturday morning, or on weekday mornings or weekday nights in our Greenfield Chapel communities. They continue to meet in the Friedman Levitt Sanctuary. So we'd love to see you in person, or of course, continue to watch us online as we go through, God willing, which is the beginning of the end of this pandemic, as more and more of us have the blessing of getting vaccinated, and I hope all of you will have that blessing soon as we continue to welcome more and more people in our sanctuaries and bring our synagogue back to life. I look forward to that in the weeks and months ahead. And we're now ready to bring our service to a close. First, I bless all of our children and grandchildren that are watching us this evening. For our sons, we say, Yisimcha Elohim ke Ephraim ke Menashe. May God bless you like Ephraim and Menashe. And for our girls, we say, Yisimech Elohim ke Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, and Leah. May God bless you like Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah. And for all of our children, may God continue to bless you with shalom, with peace. And let us say, Amen. And now let us rise for the Kiddush. Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho be'ahava u'v'ratzon inchilanu zikaron le'masei v'reshit כי הוא יום תחילה למקראי קודש, זכר ליציאת מצרים. הבנו בחרת ואותנו קידשת מכל העמים, בשבת קודשך באהבה וברצון הנחלתנו. Baruch atah Adonai Mekadesh HaShabbat. Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, hey, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, hey, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat Shalom.
Good Shabbos, everyone.